The forest is still half asleep when she steps beneath the trees, a pale ribbon of dawn filtering through bare branches and mist. Cold air settles against her skin, sharp and clean, carrying the scent of wet earth and old leaves. Each footstep sinks slightly into the damp ground, the quiet squelch sounding louder than it should in the morning hush. She moves slowly, not because she wants to, but because her body is tired in ways sleep hasn't touched. She has walked this path before, tracing it back and forth with careful hope. Now, memory leads her more than certainty. A bent blade of grass, a snapped twig, the faint impression of where something small once passed. She notices everything, even as doubt presses in. Birds stir overhead, distant and unconcerned, while the forest holds its breath around her. Her thoughts return again and again to the animal she lost track of days ago. She remembers the brief meeting, the fear in its eyes, the way it disappeared into the undergrowth. Logic tells her enough time has passed to accept the likely ending, but guilt refuses to loosen its grip. She feels responsible for having seen, for having known, for having walked away once. So she keeps moving, breath steady, heart heavy, searching not because she believes she will find anything, but because stopping feels like a betrayal. She follows the places where the ground once told a clearer story, but now the signs hesitate beneath her eyes. What had been small, certain tracks have softened into uneven impressions, pressed thin by rain and drifting leaves. Water has worked patiently here, smoothing edges, pulling certainty back into the soil. She kneels once, brushing aside damp debris with her fingers, searching for direction that no longer exists. The earth offers nothing in return. The forest stretches outward, tall and unbothered, its scale suddenly overwhelming. Trunks rise in quiet rows, and somewhere far above, birds move through branches without concern for what might be lost below. The indifference settles on her shoulders. It isn't cruel, just vast, reminding her how small her worry is against so much living land. She stands again, scanning the ground, and then the shadows, feeling doubt press closer with every step. She pauses often now, listening more than looking. A snapping twig makes her turn too quickly, heart lifting before settling again. Wind slides through the canopy, sounding almost like movement, almost like breath. Silence, when it returns, feels heavier than noise ever could. In the stillness, she wonders if she has waited too long, if the forest has already closed itself over the truth she came back to find. Her steps grow shorter, less certain, as if the forest itself has begun to weigh against her. Muscles ache with a dull insistence, and her breath no longer settles as easily as it did at dawn. She leans briefly against the rough bark of a tree, feeling its cold texture steady her. The search has stretched longer than her strength, and the quiet persistence that carried her this far begins to thin. Thoughts she has pushed aside return without resistance. Maybe this is where it ends. Maybe some lives slip through unnoticed, claimed by time and terrain before help can reach them. She imagines turning back, retracing her path with empty hands, carrying only the knowledge that she tried. The idea brings a strange mix of relief and sorrow, both heavy in her chest. Failure settles softly, not sharp, but constant. She feels responsible not because she caused harm, but because she saw vulnerability and could not stay. Grief arrives quietly, without tears, resting behind her ribs. She stands still for a long moment, surrounded by towering trunks and scattered light, listening to her own breathing. In that pause, she allows herself to consider letting go, to accept the forest's silence as an answer, even if it hurts to do so. She is just about to turn when a subtle movement catches the edge of her vision, so small it almost feels imagined. beneath a tangle of fallen roots and shadowed soil, the darkness shifts, disturbed by something alive. She freezes, every muscle tightening as her eyes adjust. Then she sees it. A paw, thin and trembling, stretching weakly into the pale light. The motion is slow, uncertain, as if it costs more energy than it has left to give. For a moment, the forest fades. Sound dulls, air stills, and her breath catches in her throat. Doubt falls away, replaced by recognition and a quiet surge of disbelief. The animal is here, alive. The fragile movement carries more meaning than all the hours she spent searching. She lowers herself carefully to the ground, heart racing, afraid that even a sudden breath might break the moment. Instinct takes over where exhaustion had settled. She speaks softly without realizing it, voice low and steady, meant to calm rather than call. The paw withdraws slightly, then remains, resting against the earth as if holding on. In that instant, the search ends and something deeper begins. There is no room left for hesitation. What matters now is warmth, gentleness, and the simple, urgent truth that this small life has not given up yet. She moves closer, inch by inch, careful to keep her body low and her presence small. Her voice slips out in a soft murmur, not meant to be understood, only to be gentle. The animal watches her through half-open eyes, dulled by exhaustion and pain, but still aware. Its breathing is shallow, chest rising unevenly, fur damp and matted from cold soil and shadow. When she reaches out, she stops just short of touching, giving it space to decide. The air between them feels delicate, stretched thin with uncertainty. Slowly, she removes her jacket and drapes it near the animal, allowing warmth to reach without pressure. The creature shifts faintly, a quiet response that feels like permission. When her hand finally makes contact, it is light and steady, resting against fragile ribs she can feel move beneath her palm. The body is cold, far too light, but undeniably alive. Time softens around them. She stays still, breathing in rhythm with the animal, letting her calm become an offering. Trust grows not through action, but through restraint. In this quiet exchange, fear loosens its hold. The forest seems to lean closer, holding the moment gently. Something changes in both of them then, an understanding formed not by words or rescue, but by shared stillness and the simple decision to stay. She lifts the animal carefully, adjusting her grip until its weight settles safely against her chest. It is lighter than it should be, fragile in a way that demands constant attention. She moves slowly, measuring each step over roots and stones, mindful of every uneven patch of ground. The forest floor no longer feels like something to cross quickly, but something to navigate with care. Her arms tighten instinctively whenever the animal shifts, offering protection without pressure. The path out feels longer than before, but also clearer. Branches sway overhead, and filtered light breaks through the canopy, touching fur and fabric alike. The forest no longer seems indifferent. There's a quiet awareness in the way birds fall silent as she passes, in how the wind pauses between trees. It feels less like resistance and more like watchfulness, as if the land recognizes what she carries. The animal remains still, breathing shallow but steady, its warmth slowly returning against her skin. With each step, responsibility anchors her, pushing fatigue into the background. Hope doesn't arrive as excitement or relief. It comes softly, like a steady pulse beneath her ribs, grounded in the simple truth that life is still here, still moving forward, and still worth every careful step she takes. The animal lies still in a place of warmth and quiet, its body no longer pressed by cold earth or shadow. Its breathing has softened, no longer shallow or strained, but slow and even, rising and falling with gentle certainty. She sits nearby, close enough to feel the rhythm of it, far enough to give space. There is no urgency left in her movements now. Only watchfulness, calm, and the quiet relief of knowing the worst has passed. Light filters in softly, touching fur that is beginning to dry, bringing back a hint of natural color. The animal shifts once, barely, then settles again, trusting the stillness around it. She does not reach out this time. Presence feels like enough. Her own breathing slows to match the moment, the weight she carried through the forest finally easing from her chest. There is no celebration, no sense of victory. What fills the space instead is something steadier, compassion, fulfilled without spectacle. The bond between them remains gentle, shaped by vulnerability and patience rather than rescue alone. She understands now that saving does not always mean fixing everything. Sometimes it means staying, choosing care over certainty, and allowing life the quiet chance to continue. In that understanding, the story finds its rest.